All right, friend, it is Wednesday. Welcome back. And today we are going to be talking about blooming where you are planted. And if you've never heard that phrase before, we're going to talk about it. So let's get started. All right, welcome back to the Kingdom Daughters podcast. I am Angela, your host. And as always, I am so grateful that you are here listening in. If I could just say, if this is blessing your heart, if you hear something that God is speaking through me and it blesses you, I would love to hear from you. You can email me at mrsangela.pitnikoff@gmail.com to give me a testimonial, or you can share it on your socials and tag me in it, or share it with a friend. Like, that is the biggest compliment. So I just would love to hear what God is doing. And it's always a blessing to hear from you guys. So please let me know if this is speaking to you. So yeah, real quick, I did want to read a review because reviews are amazing. And I'm so grateful again for all of you who listen in. This is from Mom's Fine. Jireh, my provider. He is my provider. First, I heard the word was over 35 years ago in a song called Abba Father by Steve Fry. Learning he is my provider. I don't need to worry about what may come or what I don't have, but learning to be content. Angela, you hit the nail on the head and reminded me of one of the foundations of God. He is our provider. I don't need to worry about tomorrow or next year or COVID or what retirement will look like or this or if that. God has me, question mark, in the palm of his hand, and he will provide, and he is enough no matter the circumstances. Thank you for the word. Thank you so much, Mom's Fine. Seriously, you're a blessing, and I pray blessing over your household and your family and all the things, and that you would continue to grow in this area, because I know for me, I have to be reminded all the time that he is my provider and that I do not need to worry about tomorrow, and that I can just trust in him. So be blessed, friend, today. And thank you so much for listening in. And thank you so much for your amazing review. I super appreciate it. For those of you watching on YouTube, my friend Michelle got me this amazing cup. Look how cute it is. And it says the Kingdom Daughters established in 2021. Boom. So cute. I love it. Always getting in my water intake for the day. Okay, so today we were talking about blooming where you are planted. And so first, I was going to just share something with you. God has been nudging me in an area for about a year and a half, and I kind of put it off, and I kind of forgot about it, to be honest, because 2020 was crazy, as we all know. Right after all the COVID stuff started coming out, God put on my heart to be praying for our neighborhood, specifically the street that I live on, the homes that are around me, praying for peace, praying for God's presence to move, praying against fear. And I kind of put it out there to my Facebook friends to just do the same. Like, let's pray for our neighborhoods. Like, we have the power and authority through Jesus, as we've talked about. So let's use that. And prayer works, right? When we come before the Lord and we ask things from him, he listens, he hears us. Prayer works. And so I believe that. And so he had put that on my heart. And honestly, 2020 just kind of got away from me, and didn't mean I didn't stop praying, but I did not continue in what he was calling me to do. And let me tell you, that is never a fun thing, to be reminded of something that he put on your heart, right? Forever ago. And so it just came back to mind, because recently I've been trying to get into a routine with the kids going back to school. Woo, woo, woo. And so I've been waking up early and working out. And some days I've been going on walks early in the morning around 6 and in my community. And it started making me remember about how God put on my heart about going on prayer walks for my neighborhood. And it was like, oh, first of all, the first thing that happens, right, is shame, because I didn't finish. I never did what he called me to do before. But God is so faithful and so patient and kind. And he was like, that's not what it's about. It's about you coming back to what I called you to. And so I decided to do a prayer for or neighborhood prayer challenge. And so I'm going to put a link in the show notes to a free download that you can download for you to join me in on a free prayer challenge for your neighborhood. If you would like to get involved, I would love to have you join in with me. And I will be posting about it on my Instagram. And we can just share our stories with each other and just see what God does. Because I believe when us believers come together and begin to pray, come to God with our needs, He hears us and He meets us. So let's do this. So if you're interested, go to the link in my show notes or message me on Instagram if you can't figure that out as well, or on Facebook. I would love to hear from you and I can get you the link. Okay, so we're talking about blooming where you're planted. And that phrase comes from just where God puts you, right? Being planted is a seed in the soil and just what comes up, right? And I believe that we are in the places we're in for a reason and a purpose. God, especially if we are seeking Him and want to do His will, want to walk in His goodness, want to honor Him with our lives, He's going to give us a purpose. He's going to give us people in our lives on purpose that we can share Jesus with. Now, first of all, as always, I need to say, I am really not good at this. This is something I know God's challenging me in this area because He wants me to step up my game. I can honestly say I'm not good at this at all. And so that is why I love doing this with others, because it's a good challenge for myself. So everything I'm saying is mainly because this is what God is growing in me, and I am challenging everyone else to join in with me, because you may already be good at this and awesome, but let's take it to the next level, right? And that's what I was going to say is, like, for those of you who maybe you prayed where you were supposed to live and you knew that you were in the community because God put you there on purpose, and when you were moving in, like, God showed you specifically you need to be in this community, like, that's amazing. That is amazing. And you already know you're planted for a reason, right? You already know that because you prayed through that and you and God worked on it together, and He planted you on purpose. Continue in that purpose. You continue to bloom because you know that's where God called you. But there might be some of you that were like me, and honestly, I never thought about even the concept of saying, okay, God, where do you want us to go next? Other than, like, obviously we're in the same community that our church is in, that we work at, but I never really, like, thought that through or prayed specifically for those things and brought Him into those decisions. I mean, it was more about how much can we afford? Is it in a good neighborhood? Is it clean? All of those things. And obviously God is there and He's with us and I have a relationship with Him. So I believe He opened the doors that were supposed to be opened. But if you don't specifically feel like, oh, I know God planted me here on purpose, that doesn't mean there isn't a purpose. That doesn't mean you cannot bloom where you're planted, because God can use anything. God can take anything and make it good. When I think about this, I think about the story of Joseph and how his brothers sold him into slavery. There are so many things, like most of you probably know the story. There's so many steps to his journey, where God planted him in so many areas. And it didn't make sense, right? It didn't make sense. And it probably wasn't where he would have chosen for his life. But he continued to be faithful in the small things. He continued to serve God wherever he was planted, wherever he was put, stationed, workplace, he continued to serve God, and God was able to bless where he was planted, even in a land that didn't belong to his people, right? And that is where I say it doesn't really matter how you got to where you are, how you got to where you live, or the community you live in. It's more about whether you choose to give it over to God and say, okay, Lord, here I am. I live here. You've put me in this place with these people. What next? How can I be a blessing? How can I serve like you serve and share your love with people around me? When I think about being planted, I think of gardening. I'm not great at gardening, to be honest. I've tried over the years and it's hard. It's hard work. I have a friend, Rachel, who's amazing at it, and she has been super helpful to me. She's taught me so much. And I have a couple other friends that have taught me about gardening and they're really good at it. And I aspire to be like them, but it's hard work. And there's a lot of steps to it. And there's a lot of process. You have to have the right soil for the right things and the right amount of sun and the right amount of water. And you have to make sure there's no weeds, right? There's a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, when the fruit comes out or the veggies or whatever you're growing or the flowers that have bloomed come, it's amazing. Like it's so great and you feel so awesome because of all that work you put in. But it's a lot of work. Well, think about this. God has already put in the work. Like God has all the work already done. Like he has already toiled the soil. He has already planted you. He's done all the work and he has just planted you. And now it's just your job and my job to just bloom. It's our job to just lean into him, listen to him, and bloom where he has planted us. He's done all the heavy lifting, right? He's already put in all the work. Our job is just to trust in our Father and to produce the fruits that he has planted in us, which seems super easy, but we make it hard, right? All we have to do is trust in him, lean into him, understand and believe that we are called to where we are right now, and then produce the fruits that he is planting in us. Jeremiah 17:7-8 says, "But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream." When we trust in him, we can have all our nourishment that we need from him, right? We're a tree planted by water because we're trusting in him to sustain us, which we talked about last week. He's our provider, right? He is our provider. He's enough for us. That's all we need is him. And when we trust in him, we're like a tree that's planted right by water because he is our sustainability. He is all we need. And he's put in the work for us. And so all we have to do is bloom. All we have to do is produce the fruits that he is planting in our hearts, that he is planting in our community, that he's planting in the space that he has put us at work or school or the church that we're at. We just have to bloom what he's putting in our hearts. And it comes down to us being connected to him, right? When we're a tree planted by water, the reason that they're able to thrive is because water is so important to a tree, right? And they're able to dig deep roots, right? Because they have sustainability, they have their water. And when we stay connected to him, then we bear good fruit. In John 15:5, it says, "I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit." We will bear much fruit when we remain in him, when we stay close to the water, when we stay close to him, when we have relationship with him, when we have intimacy with him, right? It all comes down to the closeness and relationship we have with him and letting him do all the heavy lifting and hard work and trust that he has us where we're supposed to be and being content in that. Being content in the fact that we are where God has called us to be. And then bear the fruit that he has planted in our hearts. In Psalm 1:1-3, it says, "Blessed is the one who does not walk in the step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord and who meditates on his law day and night. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers." When we're close to him, again, here we have an example of being a tree planted by water. And that trees that are planted by water and have enough water produce good fruit because they are sustained by God, right? They're sustained by what they need, the water. Whatever they do prospers because when we meditate on him and when we trust in him and we have relationship with him, he supplies all our needs. He helps us produce the fruit that we need to produce. The fruits of the Spirit, right? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control. He helps us produce these things when we are planted by him, when we are getting all that we need from him. And when we have communion with him, when we have relationship with him, he supplies that and he does the work and we just have to bloom. Can't say that enough, apparently. Now, we still have to put in the work though, right? We still have to put in work. It's not like we can just sit there and be like, yay, here comes some apples, here comes some zucchini, here comes whatever, right? Here comes some joy and here comes some love. Like we have to put in some work. We are the hands and feet. We are to step out and trust in what God's calling us to do. We're going to give our neighbors food, make them dinner if they need some dinner. We're going to pray over our neighbors. We're going to invite them over and build community with them. We're going to take a walk and have a conversation. Maybe they just need to be heard. Maybe they want to be able to just talk to someone or be prayed for right then and there. That is hands and feet, right? We still have to put in work. 1 Corinthians 15:58. This is in the Passion's translation. It says, "So now, beloved ones, stand firm, stable and enduring. Live your lives with an unshakable confidence. We know that we prosper and excel in every season by serving the Lord, because we are assured that our union with the Lord makes our labor productive with fruit that endures." Who is excited about having fruit that endures? That never dies, right? It's fruit that will last because we have labored with the Lord. A lot of times these days, we try to toil, we try to work towards things of this world, and we cannot work towards worldly things. We have to partner with the Lord on the mission that he has for us. And that is bringing people into his house, bringing people into under his covering and into the love that he has for them and into the grace and mercy that only can come from him. And when we work and we labor with him, and when we partner, again, you hear me say that a lot, with him, then we bear fruit that endures. And how exciting is that we can partner with the Lord and we can walk with him and we can work with him to build his kingdom, to bring more daughters into his kingdom so that they can know how deep and wide and wonderful his love is for them and can walk in the freedom that he has for them. So that is all I have for you today. I encourage you to do this prayer challenge with me. Maybe it's not a prayer walk. Maybe you don't have time for that, and that is okay. But maybe adding 5 more minutes to your morning routine and just stopping and praying specifically for the things that I'm going to put out. I'm just doing a couple things day by day by day to give you some ideas of what to pray for over your community, over your neighborhood, even specifically calling out the numbers on the houses and your street names, and people that you know that live in the neighborhood, and just calling them out and bringing them before the Lord and praying for peace and joy and love over your community and favor and protection and provision. Because God hears us, right? And prayer works. And so I just continue to encourage you to be praying for your neighborhoods and to remember that you are in your place. You are in this place. You are in your neighborhood. You're in the home that you're in for a reason. Your neighbors are around you for a reason. And you have a purpose and a plan where you are planted. And so bloom, beautiful daughter. let the fruits come out of you that God is calling you to. Let him use you in ways that you could never imagine. Um, and just be blessed by that. So I hope that you are encouraged by this. I hope that you are challenged and encouraged, and that you can move forward with this amazing life that God has called you to. So have a great week, and I will see you next time. Bye now.